You've heard of Israel, but almost everything you've been told is incomplete. This tiny country is one of the most powerful and misunderstood places on Earth. And here's why. You've heard of Israel, but not like this. When most people hear Israel, they think of conflict, tension, politics. A place always in the headlines, but what if I told you? That's only a tiny fraction of the story. What if one of the most talked about countries in the world is also one of the most underrated? And what if the reality of Israel is something completely different from what you expect? Because behind the news, behind the debates, behind the noise, there's a country that might genuinely surprise you. And once you see it, you won't look at it the same way again. Imagine landing in a place where ancient history and cutting-edge technology exist side by side, where a city over 3,000 years old is just a short drive away from one of the most advanced tech hubs on Earth. That's not an exaggeration. That's Israel, a country so small you could drive across it in just a few hours. And yet, it contains more diversity, more innovation, and more history than most places 10 times its size. But here's where it gets interesting. Israel isn't just another country, it's a contradiction, in the best possible way. Because in one moment, you're walking through ancient stone streets that have witnessed thousands of years of human history. And in the next, you're surrounded by startups, innovation labs, and some of the smartest minds in the world. In fact, Israel is often called the startup nation. And for good reason. Despite its size, it has one of the highest numbers of startups per capita anywhere on Earth. Think about that. A country constantly under pressure still manages to lead in technology, cybersecurity, medicine, and innovation. How? That's where the story gets deeper. Because innovation here isn't just about business, it's about survival. It's about adapting. It's about finding solutions, no matter the challenge. And that mindset, it shows up everywhere, from how cities are built, to how people think, to how problems are solved. But Israel isn't just about technology. It's also one of the most historically significant places on Earth. This is land that has shaped religions, civilizations, and cultures for thousands of years. Places you've heard about your entire life actually exist here. And standing in those places, it doesn't feel like history. It feels real. It feels alive. But here's something most people don't expect. Israel is also incredibly modern. Vibrant cities, nightlife that rivals major global capitals, beaches filled with energy and life, a culture that feels young, fast, and constantly moving forward, especially in places like Tel Aviv, where the atmosphere is completely different from what most people imagine. It's open, creative, full of life. And then, just a short distance away, you have quiet deserts that stretch endlessly. Places where the silence is so deep, it almost feels unreal. This level of contrast, it's rare. And it's one of the reasons Israel feels so unique. Now here's something that might surprise you even more. Food. Yes. Food. Because Israel's food scene is one of the most underrated in the world. A mix of Middle Eastern, Mediterranean, and global influences, coming together in ways that are simple, but unforgettable. Fresh ingredients, bold flavor, dishes that tell stories of different cultures blending into one, and once you try it, you understand why people fall in love with it. But let's talk about the people, because at the end of the day, that's what defines any country. Israel is incredibly diverse. People from different backgrounds, cultures, and traditions, all living in one small space. And that creates something powerful. Different perspectives, different ideas, different ways of seeing the world. It's not always easy, but it's real and it's human. Now, let's be honest for a moment. Israel is not perfect. There are tensions. There are challenges. There are complexities that can't be ignored. And pretending otherwise wouldn't be fair. But reducing an entire country to only its conflicts, that misses the bigger picture. Because life here is not just one story. It's millions of stories happening at the same time. People going to work, students chasing dreams, families building their future, moments of normal life, in a place the world often sees as anything but normal. And that contrast, it changes how you see everything. Now here's something that really makes you think, despite everything. Israel consistently ranks high in innovation, happiness, and quality of life in many areas. How does a country under constant pressure still manage to thrive? The answer isn't simple. But part of it comes down to mindset, resilience, a determination to keep moving forward, no matter what. And that creates something rare. A culture that doesn't just survive, but adapts, builds, creates again and again. Now imagine growing up in a place where history surrounds you, where every city has a story, where every place has meaning. It shapes how you think, how you see the world, how you value life, and that perspective, it's something most people outside never fully understand. Because we only see what we're shown, and what we're shown is often incomplete. That's why Israel feels underrated. Not because it lacks attention, but because it's rarely understood in full. And once you start looking beyond the surface, you realize there's so much more to it. If you've made it this far, you're already seeing Israel differently than most people. And that's powerful, because understanding something always starts with curiosity. So if you're someone who wants to see the world beyond headlines, who wants to understand places instead of just judging them, then there's that kleine Kontumis. You don't hit subscribe. Because this channel is all about uncovering the hidden side of countries, the truths people overlook, and the stories that deserve to be told. And trust me, this is just the beginning. Because Israel is only one piece of a much bigger world. A world full of places that are misunderstood, underrated, and waiting to be discovered. Most people will never go deeper. They'll stick to what they've been told, what feels safe, what feels familiar. But not you. You stayed. You listened. And now you see something different. Israel isn't just headlines. It's not just conflict. It's not just a topic of debate. It's a country full of innovation, full of history, full of life, and maybe one of the most underrated places on earth.